I've been in Boulder for 25 years and spent a lot of it on the road working in conflict zones in third world countries, and then teaching at Naropa. I developed the environmental leadership program there and taught there for a lot of years, and then basically took it on the road. I've been doing this for 50 years. I've been organizing, citizen activism, teaching since 1964, when I left my university for a year and a half to go down to Selma, Alabama and work with Dr. King. And that experience actually, as we elders often say, really set my life. A couple of the early teachings from just doing that at age 19, boy, you don't know anything you think you know. I mean, I came from a northern university and I got off a bus and landed in Selma, Alabama. I had no idea, and I was a civil rights liberation theology young woman at the time. I had no idea what the Southern experience was for blacks or whites. And the second thing I learned was Dr. King was always telling us to not judge the other, the whites. Of course, we all did. We all did, no matter, I mean, except I think the elder ministers and people who really had a spiritual practice, the nuns who were down there, I think they were practicing not to judge or be angry. But a lot of us who were down there as, you know, righteous activists against the white racist Alabamans. Anyway, I stayed for a year and a half doing voter registration and babysitting for black kids while their parents went to meetings and whatever I could find to do. I came back to college and knew I wanted to be present to people who weren't having their story told, you know, for those that didn't have a voice. And the last thing I learned, I forgot for a while, but if you don't know what to do about an issue you care a lot about, like racism, anti-war, feminism, Monsanto, whatever it is that you're annoyed about, you got to go be there. But now, back here, the work is a little different. The showing up means showing up in corporations. And the work is the same. That's what I hope to show you. My stories are going to be a lot from being on the road, because that's what I know. But you've got to go to who you call the other. That in your psyche, or in your mind, or in your unconscious, is absolutely the opposite of what you believe. It's who is wrong. You're absolutely sure they're wrong. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up your truth in this process. If a river is polluted, a river is polluted. If people are being terrorized, they are being terrorized. We tell the truth. But we also always remember there will be no solution until those you think are other are part of it. The major institutions, the global and economic institutions on this planet and in this country, are going to make it too hard for change to occur at the level it needs to. And we're seeing that because the planet is saying, hey, we're out of balance here. I was teaching at Naropa and asked my class to listen to Rush Limbaugh, who was on at that time. And some of them couldn't do it. I mean, they couldn't make it through 30 minutes of Rush Limbaugh. So we don't know the rest of the picture. And we're all, especially younger people, pretty sure that the way we see the new world is the right way. And no single organization, no single anti-monoculture, no political party, no one anything is going to create the future. So do what you do. Don't stop doing. I mean, how could you? Do what you do because it calls you. Maybe because you're good at it, or equally because you want to learn it. And that you can't do anything else. If you don't do this, you're not going to be true to you. That's where the activist movement has to go. Because we're really used to being one element of the activist, and we're used to being the advocate, the one who stands for the right thing. And we often, not the best of us, but often the younger of us, because no one's telling us any different, we often stand on the outside and holler at them. Well, they're not listening. Why should a perfectly functioning system change? Because you, from the outside, and I'm not even talking consciously here, I'm talking about conscious decisions on their part. This is how systems work. They break down when there's been enough perturbation inside of it that they no longer have the same identity. But that isn't going to change from anybody pushing from the outside. So the plunge is about going to encounter the other. Now, this takes place at many levels, but I mean here quite specifically, an embodied encounter with someone. It might be your teenage son down the hall. So when I first went to Southeast Asia was to work with environmental activists, and I was bringing trainings that I was doing in Europa, so I had my little kit. Experiential exercises, lectures, activities, you know, I knew how to do this. And I started by working with urban environmental activists, and my husband and I took them out we had been leading wilderness quests in Utah. So what we got was that in Bangkok, the activists, people just like you, had not been out in their natural world any more than people in New York had. At the closing circle, one of the questions I asked before leaving was, what can we do for you, right? That's what you would ask. I totally expected funds for health supplies, or they had already put down Western schools as not helpful for them. So I was thinking there'd be something we could do. And the head man answered, we just want to have our story heard. That was life-changing. Nothing is more satisfying to a person than to feel truly heard. We can heal more with our questions and our answers. We can heal each other that way. I ask you to go find the other and to connect, however you do it, connect at a heart space. Not solve a problem, not do anything. Can you find a way? Maybe you find out you both have grandchildren that you love. Or, now where's the heart connection? If you can let go of thinking you need to know what to do next, you can go anywhere. I believe you can do that in America too. If you don't come in with your point of view, your 5-year development plan, your psychological orientation about how to change those uneducated people into knowing what you know, you can be accepted anywhere in the world. People get it. You would get it if you're willing to unknow. It is a spiritual transformation I'm asking you to make here. This takes work and it takes practice. And you can do it as well in the field or on the mall as you do it sitting through a meditation week's retreat. It is probably the most essential sense we have that we don't know how to use. And I say, shut up and listen. For a while. For a long time. And then to ask for clarification, you're holding the akasha. You're holding the womb, the space, for that person to safely reveal themselves. The power of the receptive, the incredible power of the receptive as opposed to the going in. There is a wisdom in being willing to be insecure. There is a wisdom in going back and back and back to listen and listen and listen some more. There is no wisdom in carrying in your ideas all the time. And we should not pay so much money to go to school to put you in debt to make you think that's what you're going to do. You know, you're serving the whole. You're coming into the situation which has its own intelligence. You're seeing, how do I fit in that? This is one way to serve a world we do not understand, that is all one and highly diverse. And in the diversity, we have to find that oneness.